Hello and welcome to Chat Sith Get Banged, Team Calamity's Final Fantasy TCG podcast. I am your host, Tom Strawman Hall, and today I'm joined by Team Calamity's finest, Mitch the Judge Lander.
Hello.
And we also have Peter, the now I'm afraid ex-UK champ, Sherat. Welcome, Peter.
Hi.
How you doing? So that wasn't a dig, but obviously things have moved on. We have a new UK champion.
Sam Jackson is a nice guy, fellow Mono Ice player.
So it's been a while since we did our last podcast. I think it was Opus X was just about to come out. We took a impromptu break for various reasons, but we are back. So Opus 10 is right around the corner. In fact, pre-release is this week. So we thought, why not have a discussion about where we think the Opus is going to go, and some cards we like, maybe some new decks that might evolve. So I'm just going to open it up. Mitch, do you want to start with some cards that have taken your fancy?
Yeah, the one that's really taken my fancy is the new Sarah. I think it's actually ridiculous how efficient it could be. Primarily in a Ice Lightning deck, where you can just break your move, Log 13-2, and even give it haste with the backup lightning, and you got your snow to search it out, and it's just going to be like whatever you need at that point, just search like every time. You can even play stuff like a lure to activate it to get it twice, like you break Dole 2 and then a lure, bring it back, and then you can bring in something like Orphan. Yeah, I just think that's going to be crazy. There are other things you could do with it, like wind. Like use Rem to just get this effect twice per turn, but then you're limiting yourself on 13 cards in wind. You've got Hope, and that's about it, I think. But I'm really excited for Ice Lightning.
There's quite a few Mog 13-2s that are available, but you're thinking always go the Searcher, or would you want to mix it up?
No, I think it's always the Searcher because it just make it so consistent. You could maybe run a split of like 3 of the Searcher. I think you want to Searcher as much as possible, so 3 of the Searcher and then 1 of the new one. But like,
what's the new one do?
It gives Sarah 1k, and when it's put into the break zone, freeze 1 forward, and then Sarah doles 2 forwards. So it's not bad. It's just if you're running Ice Lightning, you're running Null, and then you protect Sarah anyway. So
that's actually another one that's come out, is that Null.
Yeah.
So this is the 4 CP Null, but when Null attacks, it activates and can attack once more per turn, and it's on curve at 4 CP 8k. I think probably going to see a lot of Null coming out just for that extra
attack.
Quite a
card, isn't it?
But as you said, if you're running this Lightning backup, you can give it haste. It's pretty filthy. Peter, tell me some cards that you like the look of.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Caius or Caius? Caius?
Yeah, Caius. So I actually really like this Caius as well. So this is the 4 CP Caius. Fire. When he comes into the field, you can play a character of cost 3 or less from your hand onto the field. He's 9k as well. He's nice and beefy. He does obviously have being a fire card, he obviously has a downside, which is when he's put into the break zone. You also have to select a character and put that into the break zone with it. So which way are you thinking to go with Caius?
I'm going to try it in a couple of decks, but I just think it's extremely good, and the fact that you can, if you did play it turn 1 to play a searching backup for it, I do think that is quite good. Personally, people were discussing saying, oh, if your opponent is playing Mono Water and they did play Una and then Fanfree, there is a lot that you've lost there. But I think it's just a really, really solid card. Early game, mid game, late game. In late game, you just sack a backup. Do you know what I mean? One that you probably ideally like to play again. I just think it's a really, really good card. People tend to disfire quite a lot. Me and Mitch were talking about Nail. People were saying that it wasn't going to be a very good card, and me and Mitchell disagreed and said actually we think it's pretty busted, and it was one of the most played cards. So it's the most played Opus 9 card. Is it an Opus 9 card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Opus 9 card. Opus 9 card in the European Championships. I like Rain, the legend. I don't think it'll be as good as KS in terms of sort of utility, but you were talking about theme decks sort of earlier, like what sort of decks you like. So I like the World of Final Fantasy. I think it'd be quite fun to give that a go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are quite excited for the WAF deck.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
I think
I'm an ice guy, so I like the look of some of the ice cards. I like the legends. We were saying that it's always ice legend forwards, like always. It's always been ice legend forward, which is a bit strange. But the Cloud of Darkness, I think is incredibly good.
Yeah, I love that card.
so again, that's had a bit of a mixed response. Well, certainly amongst sort of the Team Calamity vote, because it's got a negative where you have to do stuff to your own characters. Half the team are saying, yeah, it's really strong. Half of them are like, "Ugh." It's been dismissed purely off the dodgy artwork. So apologies to Amano fans, but we've been waiting a long time to see this Cloud of Darkness artwork. It's a particular favourite, particularly the tentacle work.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's the first time I think I've seen it. I don't know what to make of the artwork. I must admit, but
No, I never know what to make
um,
of the Armado artwork. Maybe it's just my sort of lack of culture, but yeah, they're always a
there's
bit
some
shocking
really
to me.
good Amano cards. I really like some of them, but like most of them, yeah. I suppose you are right. I think it's a bit of Marmite, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
bit
they
of
are very hot and
Marmite.
cold sort of thing.
So this Opus 10, from what we see as well, we're also starting to get some more sort of card name repeats. So we've got like Eldnash, Camelot, Shantotto gets another card. Obviously, these are all very strong cards. Well, Eldnash maybe, unless you're Kageyama, you might disagree. But do we think this like new Shantotto, yeah, even Cloud of Darkness, is it going to see play over the current versions? I really like
Um,
that Shantotto, by the way.
yeah, I'll say the cold will do because it's in a different element.
Yeah,
That's almost like a given.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
the Shantotto, I'm almost going to just flat out say no because the 7 drop is just played like almost religiously if you're playing Earth. Eldnarch and stuff again, they're different colours, so I'd imagine it goes in different decks and stuff like that. Like you've got a lot of ice and earth now that like synergizes well together. You've got like your Star Sybil that searches them all. So then you can search monsters. I'm not sure how good it all is, but it's a new deck that can run there. And you won't just run into the Sephiroth and Cecil like Renoa, Nidhogg stuff. You might have a different ice earth now.
Well, actually, you say Sephiroth, Peter, you actually really love this new Sephiroth, the back attack Sephiroth. Well, we've got the 7 drop Sephiroth is quite predominantly played now in ice. Is there
hmm
space for this version? I suppose it probably is because you've got sort of more dark flare targets that are worse.
I don't know how often it will be played. I'm definitely going to give it a try, just because it's just the back attack interests me. That's all, and I think um, its other ability. There's a new sort of damage sort of mechanic, isn't there? I think it's on 5 damage. Mitchell knows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sephiroth
He
has a
knows
damage
everything.
5
I don't.
against 2,000 power.
That's it. So for me, yeah, that's really good on 5 damage for an 8k. It's normally 6k, right?
Yeah, it'll be 6k, and then it comes
Yes.
in.
So it comes at 8k, 3 drop, which does something on a back attack, which is really, I think that's really good. But I don't actually like the 7 drop. This is quite controversial. I don't really like the 7 drop Sephiroth anymore. I don't actually think it's that good a card at the moment. Um, I say that when the person who won Euros was playing it in his Mono Ice deck. So don't listen to me.
The ex-champ,
Obviously
the
he's
ex-champ's
he
opinion.
Yes, yeah, the X channel. That I just don't think. I think it's it was such a short window of where everyone was playing it constantly. Everyone loved it, and now it's just gone out the window. And I do agree with most people saying that it is good, but I just don't think it's good right now, personally.
Yeah, I think it's very high rolly at the moment. Like
Yeah,
if you drop it down and your opponent has an answer to it, you've basically lost.
I feel that too.
And that's the problem with it at the moment. Whereas this Sephiroth's a lot safer and it can be like change the tide of a game.
I think back attack's just really interesting. But I don't think I've ever actually played anything with back attack. I know there are cards that exist currently, but I know I'll be playing this one because it's in my favourite element. And like Tom said, having the Cloud Darkness in I don't think that'll stop people playing. Because yeah, I don't think I've played the Water Cloud Darkness that much. I know a lot of people be like shaking their head at me right now, but I haven't played that card very much. But I'll be definitely playing this one because it is nice. But that Shantotto, you mentioned the legend. Try and remember what it does offhand. I think if you have to
It's a
reveal a
reveal, yeah.
card, and
So
if you hit a
uh,
three, then you're
if you hit a
buggered. I
three,
think if
it
I remember
fizzles,
correctly.
yeah. It doesn't have anything, but anything else, you're getting some kind of things. So it's like add a
So if
summon
you
back.
reveal itself,
If you reveal the other copies of Shantoto, then yeah, you're
and most of the time, free CP cards are quite common because you're searching, you know.
In
so,
Earth,
so I think
not
yeah, probably
go.
the current sort of mono Earth stuff you can probably get away without. I suppose you would lose your Noctis thing, but actually yeah, you can probably get away with particularly in the backup line, whereas most of the threes would sort of crop up, and there's lots of twos and fours which are um,
True, yeah.
coming through. So, but then yeah, you're losing the 7-drop Shantotto.
Yeah, I think Mitchell just spot on the money there. I mean, I don't think you can print a better Shantotto than the Opus One Legend, really.
Yeah, that is the problem. It being so prevalent and it's actually just so good. You'd have to really make your deck around this card, I think. Like maybe even have cards that look at the top card of your deck, like Yawl or Yuna, just so you can't like whiff on it. Because if you play this card and whiff on it, not only will you think, oh shit, I've wasted 3 CP, you'd also think, why is this not the 7-drop?
I guess that's
Mm,
probably where the game's at the moment. You can't afford. It's such a everyone's plays so value focused now, particularly if you're sort of playing at a sort of like higher level. It's also value and reward focused. If you whiff on a card, you're going to be behind, and that's probably it can sort of make or break a game for you. I think. Cool.
no doubt about it.
And so the last things for Opus 10, there's been a couple of like draw functions. So I know anytime a card says draw a card on it, like 90% of the community like get very excited. So things like Sakura, which lets you draw 2 cards. There's the Geomancer in Fire, which I think, yeah, if it's a fire card, you add it to hand. Is the draw? Are people overdoing it with the draw function?
It depends on which card it is, because I believe that Geomancer, the one you just mentioned, is incredible. Like being that in fire, because they have so little search, like drawing's the like second best option. And if it's going to be a fire card, you're almost guaranteed to get it every single time, unless you run some like darks or something like that. So it's just a very good, strong, consistent card, which fire really lacks.
Cool. So
No, 100%.
general view for what? Well, obviously, we've still got some cards left to see. We haven't even talked about the dark cards, which again were really strong. And this thing's a Reagan,
Oh, I love them
and Hein,
both.
really strong stuff there. Um, the light, obviously, there's more Warrior of Light support. There's a bit of a niche market, but the people who like it get very excited whenever they see more Warrior of Light stuff. There's quite a lot of things. Sky Pirates as well. They're still looking a bit ropey, but there's lots of these. I think people were getting more excited about Opus 11 because obviously it had Tifa on the box, so that instantly gets the hype up. But Opus 10 seems to be sort of rocking in like last minute, looking pretty decent.
Yeah, I was never actually sure how I felt about that, like them promoting Opus 11 when we've not even got 10 yet.
Yeah, it was a bit. I guess they're trying to move in on the 7 remake.
Yeah,
A lot
but they
of
also
them.
did like Cindy and Aranea from 15 as well, so it was a bit like,
Oh, are they
yeah,
not in Opus 10?
no. And I loved the look of them, and I was like, oh, I'm really excited to see what they
Cindy
are.
looks very lovely, doesn't she?
there's there's a there's a Sky Pirate as well, isn't there? Who's got that is very questionable artwork. I think it's literally just been spoiled this week.
Oh, Elsa.
Elsa, yeah. I mean,
Oh my
there's
God.
been a big buzz at the moment about sexism, so we don't want to get into. Obviously, there was some controversy at the European Cup with the King and Queens thing, and so it's just it's very bad timing to have stuff like that coming out. So I guess it's a Japanese thing. Cool. So let's move on. So our next feature will go back to the Haste takes. So if you listen to the previous ones, this is where I give our two guests an unseen topic, which is something they haven't seen before, and they have 30 seconds to give us an answer. I remember last time you were on, Peter, you were giving one-word answers. It's not quite the spirit of it. So we should start with Mitchell, just to get us in the swing of it. That's it. Are you ready, Mitchell?
No, but let's do this.
All right. So nothing too controversial. Oh, actually, there is a couple of bit dodgy ones. But so Mitchell, your first question is, where is fire at in Opus 10?
I think it's in a great spot. It's absolutely fine. Like a lot of people would like to moan about it, and I can see there are some issues, like not being able to search and stuff like that. But as I said, outside of that, it's absolutely fine. It's got its removal. Yeah, it struggles with cards like Yusola. Everyone's like, oh well, I can't get rid of Yusola. Well, I struggles with Guy.
That's
So
30 seconds.
Oh,
so yeah,
well then.
I think we got a nice flavour of that.
I completely forgot about the 30 seconds.
That's all right. Peter, over to you. So Worlds is about to happen. It's end of November, I think, is it? I think it's a 3-deck format. What 3 decks would you take to Worlds?
Oh, mono wind, mono water for Sawyer, and mono ice I would take. I think mono water for Sawyer will return it with a vengeance with Ash. And mono ice I just think will just be a good solid pick. And I just think 3 mono decks would be pretty cool to take in general.
Lovely.
And they cover a lot of bases.
That's 30. Time up. That was nice. Well done, Peter. Mitchell, back to you. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. So this competitive season, we've seen quite a lot of new names topping some of the tournaments. Do you think this is a sign that the game is growing and the player base is getting stronger, or do you see it more as the meta is becoming a little bit too strong?
I think it's getting more people are coming into the game. I've always been an advocate that there's decks that haven't been found and the meta's just there what's easiest to play. So I think more people coming in, there's going to be more people trying new stuff, and that's what's really throwing off like people like our like famous names sort of thing, and that's why we're getting these new people.
Cool. It's a little bit short time, but that's fine. Okay, Peter, I think it's probably the last one for you. So we're now starting to see not only bans in cards. I think actually the last time we hadn't had any bans when we did this last thing last year. But so we've got bans of cards, but we're also getting people banned. So players are getting banned. Do you think Square Enix are getting things right?
Oh, that's a good question, mate. I think that there was a public outcry, and I felt like they just sort of adapted to it. I felt like they needed to do more, and they just decided to scapegoat people. Personally, I felt like the gentleman who had marked cards was definitely justifiably banned, but I was actually a little bit unsure on the other banning personally. But I just felt like there was a bit of a public outcry, and I just felt like people just Yeah, there's a lot of things on Facebook with that, isn't there?
Yeah, you've gone
It's
over
a bit of a
time, but
nightmare.
I was enjoying what you're saying, but then you sort of fizzled off, so I'll cut you off there
Yeah,
and
it's fine.
bring back Thaumaturge.
I was gonna go down that route. I thought, nah, it's too predictable.
All right, Mitchell, so you finish us off. A nice friendly one. So, will Sky Pirates be viable stroke successful?
Oh, Christ! You say it's a friendly one, but is it?
Make Rich happy.
I think it has potential. I don't want to say yes while I don't know all the cards. That said, we don't know the other win legend. We don't know, as I said, what's actually coming up to support it. So I'm going to say no, but I think all it takes is one card just to break it, and then that's it. We'll see it everywhere. Hopefully that's 30 seconds.
Well, it's 20 odd, but okay.
Yeah, good enough.
Cool. All right, so we'll do a bonus haste take. I'll ask Mitchell and Peter, you both get a stab at this.
Okay.
Not to sort of jump on the ban hammer because it's a bit boring. Everyone just calls for everything to be banned. But if you had a choice, what card? I suppose you can have a couple if you want. Would you like to see banned, and for what reason? Peter, we'll start with you. You have 30 seconds to rationalise this. Go.
Ishtola should be banned. It's the fact that you can play, or at least limited to like one. The fact that you can play 3 of this card is absolutely insane. It polarizes decks and makes other decks completely useless. And I think it would really diversify the meta if you could play like decks like Mono Wind, for example. Water Wind can't compete with Mono Wind if Mono Wind runs 3 $. It's just silly card. Shouldn't have been printed the way it was.
Cool, that's 30 seconds. Mitchell, you ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go on then, you've lost 3 seconds already.
Okay, great. So my card would be Semilifina. I'm really not a fan of it reducing the cost of Star Sybil. I think Star Sybil at 5 is a perfectly good card. That even like still really strong, but the reducing it to the cost also feels like you have to force Star Sybil into Earthwind, and that's what I don't like, forcing cards into certain elements.
Cool. I'll have a go then, because I'm always there's one particular card that's really good. I'll start my own clock. So I would like to see Famfrit gone. I know some people will find that controversial. Everyone goes on about Diabolos or Diabolos. Was it Diabolos? I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Diabolos.
As the sort of scourge of 5 drops, but I actually think it's more Famfrit is the problem. I think if we got rid of Famfrit, we would actually see more 5 drops become more viable to play. I think an early-ish 5 drop is just so vulnerable to a Famfrit. It's too easy, whereas Diabolos you can actually get around it and sort of play to counter it. So bye Famfrit. Alright, so we'll go into our Ronso Rage. So if you haven't listened to this before, this is a regular thing we do where we basically take an issue that's come up, sort of let it off your chest in true Ronso angry style. So today's Ronso Rage, we're going to be talking about tournaments, and in particular sort of general tournament etiquette. So it's come up, I've been to a couple of different tournaments this season, and the same sort of things have come up. And this is not, we're not getting into sort of individual game things here, it's just general observations. So the thing that is really annoys me most is about timeliness at tournaments. So a tournament is a very long day, and people have planned for it for a while. You've bought your ticket. The ticket says doors open at, I don't know, 9 o'clock. Registration ends at 9:45. I just cannot fathom why people still cannot get there on time with all of their shit together so that we can actually start this day on time. I think at some of the ones I went to, I think say like registration closed like 9:45. We didn't play for like another hour because we were still waiting for people to register. And this wasn't people that were late. It was people that were there still like filling in their sheets, getting their stuff together, going up to the desk, and then suddenly realizing, oh, I need to have the new token thing. It's like all stuff that is out there, and it just really annoys me because the day's long enough as it is, and I just want to get things started on time. So if you're going to tournaments, there's no excuse for you not to turn up at the right time and get registered on time. I just wish for the next series that the Square Enix organizer stuff will actually start being a bit more forceful with getting things started, because some of these tournaments go on forever, and that does not help. And the next thing, I'm going to do 3 in a row, and then I'll open up to you. The next thing was a couple of different games I played. So I like to shuffle my opponent's deck, do your cuts and all that stuff before we play. People getting a bit shirty because they had like expensive sleeves or rare sleeves, and they were worried about them getting mashed up. Like, if you're worried about your sleeves getting mashed up, don't take them to a massive tournament, because you're going to be playing lots of different people that you don't know, and they're going to want to interact with your deck. So don't take them, otherwise we're going to touch them and shuffle them, and so that's annoying. And it makes me start thinking like suspicions and stuff. If you're worried about people touching your deck and stuff, you're just opening yourself up to suspicions and stuff, which nobody wants to really get involved with. Either just take normal sleeves, or protect your sleeves if you can. And I know, Peter, you're probably going to have an opinion on this, but double sleeve. Saying that, my last point about tournaments, people like triple sleeve in your deck. Yes, it looks very pretty and fancy, but the decks just go ridiculously high. It's like, remember when you were a kid, you had those sponges that you put in the bath, and they were like tiny, and then they just go massive. As soon as you put the deck down, you just get these like towering beasts of cards, like flopping all over the place, and it just looks ridiculous. And second, like, your opponent can't really, if you offer them a cut, they don't really want to touch it, because you go to cut and it just all falls all over the place, and it's just ridiculous. It looks stupid. Stop doing it. Stick to normal sleeve. That's my 3 pieces. I don't know if you think I'm just being a dick, but what do you guys think?
No, I think that's fair enough. The people, especially people who bring the expensive sleeves that then moan about them being used, like shuffle them and stuff like that. If you're that worried about them, just use them as like a display piece. Don't use them as something that's going to get damaged.
Have you
Yeah, I
ever?
mean the outer sleeves that you put on to protect the inner sleeves are there to protect the inner sleeves. So that's why you put them round. So it's okay to shuffle, and then you're protecting them. I don't understand why you triple sleeve, but I mean I know it looks good, but I think you should take essence from other games. I completely think your 3 points are valid, Tom. I think with the sleeves, I think other games they have banned players for that, because it's so easy to deceive your opponent, and you can cheat that way as well. And yeah, I don't agree with that. I think also for attendance, punctuality is so important. Attendance to a big event, especially a big event, punctuality is very important. You know what the prerequisites are for getting to an event. You check the night before, you put your deck in your bag, you know what you're going to play. Okay, you might change a couple of cards on the day, but just, yeah, be prepared. We've been to so many over the last couple of years, haven't we? And then the event doesn't start for an hour and a half later on.
But I mean,
It's just
yeah,
infuriating for most.
I've only, this is the only card game I've played before, so I don't know if this has come up in like other games like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and stuff, if you have these kind of problems. But certainly all the Final Fantasy ones always start late due to registration things. I mean, I don't know how other games handle that.
What do you think, Mitch?
Peter used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I
it was very strict. Like
very.
I remember once playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just went with an absolute like meme deck, just wasn't bothered about any of it. And one of the judges came over to me and just goes, "This card is slightly bent," and I looked at it and I was like, "How?" It's, I mean, I'll tell you the card. It was Obelisk the Tormentor, which is obviously a terrible card. I didn't go there planning to win it or anything, but I said like, "How is this bent in any other way?" And he was just like, "Well, if you just look at it from the slight side, and if that's how he saw it, then that's how he saw it." So I was like, "Okay, I can't argue with you." And then I was like, "Well, what do I do from here then?" And he was like, "You have to go and buy a new one." Obviously, this is a meme card. No one had it, so I was like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to drop out then, because then my deck list doesn't match." And he was like, "Okay," and then that was it. That was tournament over for me. And that sort of strictness really made like it. It did take the fun out of it a bit, but it also made me realise like how important everything was during the game. Like, you had to
Mm.
make sure you were there on time. If you weren't, then that's it. It's your problem, not the tournament's
It's
problem.
100%. It's normal in Yu-Gi-Oh to bring a spare set of sleeves as well, because you know that if a tiny little bit of corner is bent or anything like that in any way, you have to re-sleeve the whole deck. It's so important. They do not allow triple sleeving or double sleeving because it's so easy to manipulate your deck in such a way that you know exactly what cards on the top of your deck. And in Final Fantasy, it's even more important, I think, because especially since we take damage and place the top card of our deck into the damage zone, and having the X burst resolve from that, you can easily know that that's in the X burst, so whether to take the damage or not. You know, I just think the game is still in its young stages, really. You know.
Maybe this next season for the next year, once Worlds is finished, this might be the time to, if they're putting a big push for, like with the 7 remake, we've seen lots of like new starter decks and Opus 10 already getting pushed. Maybe this might be like a sort of watershed moment for the game to get a little bit more serious. Maybe I think it's always sort of lived off that the community is very welcoming and friendly, but we're seeing players getting banned now regularly. Things are getting called up at events for cheating, whether it's marked sleeves, manipulating decks, and things like that. So maybe it's time for like a sort of reality check. And if you're going to go to these
Yeah,
tournaments, we need to get strict and sort of zero tolerance now.
No, I do think it is heading in the right way though.
yeah, I think it is. I
Even with the player bans and stuff like that, it's not something you want to see because makes you wary of everyone who you're playing. But people will cheat, given the opportunity. That's just the problem.
Yeah, I don't think that's a
So
bad thing to be wary. I think people just need to accept that there are people that are cheating. Cheating is becoming a part of the thing. So if someone wants to shuffle your deck or wants to do extra cuts and stuff, don't take it as a some kind of personal thing. Just accept it as a part of the game now.
It is part of the game. It's always has been in any sort of deck building game that you should shuffle your opponent's deck if you see fit when it's being searched. It's just quite normal, really. When you said about the community as well, I actually think the complete opposite. I think the Final Fantasy community has become very unwelcoming and unfriendly. I don't see it as that anymore. Like I don't go on the Final Fantasy TCG fans page at all anymore. Really, I just skip past anything that's on there. It's very toxic most of the time. There's a lot of people on there and that are just aren't very nice to post, and it's like it's weird actually how a lot of people say that we're a very friendly bunch, we're a very welcoming bunch, but I look on there and it's actually not that great. It's not great for a newcomer to go on there and see what our game's about and scroll through the threads, and I just don't think. I think we're in a weird state right now. I think they've got a lot to do, but I do think they are doing a lot of things this year. Like we said one year that there weren't enough tournaments. So then that year there was tons of tournaments. The year after, this year, sorry, last year or this year, we were saying there's not enough being done to improve the rules. Whereas now we've got sort of, I think, an updated rules, haven't we?
And actually, that year, people then complained there were too many tournaments. So we had the
Yeah, now people are complaining about that. I think
yeah,
you'll always find everyone's going to complain, right, about something.
cool. That's good. We'll call time on it there. Okay, so the last section we'll do is our Cosmo memory. So this is where we look at a card from sort of olden days, or maybe the early days of FFTCG, and sort of just reflect on it and see where it's at now. So the card I've picked for this week it's a legend card from Opus 2. So it's the Emperor, and so this was the Dark Legend. It's a 4 CP 8K, and its abilities were that characters opponents control cannot use special or action abilities. So this is a card that I keep sort of bringing up more recently as something that potentially maybe people could be sort of slipping in more just to throw off a lot of decks. I mean, it lost its. It used to be played a lot. I remember when I started playing around Opus 4, everyone had this in their deck, and every time you saw it, it was a right ball ache because it usually shut down something you wanted to do, and you were struggling to remove it. But I guess, as the sort of removal count has increased, and the dark cards have got better, I guess, and people have stopped playing it. Do you think there's a space for the Emperor to make a return?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
It depends on the deck, because there's a lot of decks that want to just be pushing forward and stuff like that. Whereas if you've got a nice controlled deck, you want to run. You could run this Emperor, but then it's a harder argument to sell this card over other people, like other cards like Galdez and stuff like that. It's a very hard sell.
Yeah, it's actually, Peter, you were talking about Galdez earlier on. We were chatting. You were saying that people just love Galdez now as their dark choice.
I think in Earthwind, people are choosing Galdez because it's linked to the new start of Varn and it's free CP, and people just generally see it as a better choice over Veritas. I think in Win-Water, people still use Veritas, and I think I really like the Opus 2 Emperor Legend. I think it's a really good card to it. Fucks Mono Wind. The other day I was just playing a nice Earth tax deck and our good friend Ben dropped Emp on me and every single card I had on the field at that point had an action ability. And I was just like, fuck you, you bastard. So I don't know, it really does fuck people. I think it just depends on the meta. And the meta right now has tons of action abilities as well. Like, I just think it's really good.
I think it's always had a lot of action abilities, like even in the days of Earthwind. Imagine they've dropped down Star Sibyl and then you can't crack Star Sibyl. It really slows down the deck, especially early with the like Camelot into Chaos play.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
suppose
really excited to try. I don't want to go like backwards, like with Emp. I'd want to try the new ones, like that, the one you mentioned earlier, Tom.
Hein
Hein. I
Raging.
think that could, well, both. I'm like, because Mitchell noticed a combo when it first come out. So it said you play Emperor guest style, break something, next turn tap it, bring in Regal, add back Emperor guest style. It's just like, oh. And then there's Hein as well, which I think will be good in any sort of element. I mean, fire generally Monofire always needs a little bit of help. I think that could help it.
Yeah, that is a big thing also. It's like not wanting to go back on yourself with some of the older cards. Some of them are good, but you buy these new sets to play these new cards. It's a bit counterintuitive
Yeah,
sometimes.
I think Emperor. This is me. I think Emperor will always have a place in the meta. I think it's one of those cards that will just come back in if you start seeing certain decks like, like Mono Wind. If that continues to be one of the main decks played, I think you'll see it played now and again. I just think it will. I think it's a really good card.
Cool. Oh man. And that's about all we have time for on this episode. So thank you very much for listening. If you want to keep up to date with all things Team Calamity, then head over to our YouTube channel, which is at Team Calamity FFTCG. So until next time, see you later.